When you understand that relationships are not just a space of safety and nourishment, but they are also a space that fuels your evolution, you'll no longer be surprised when moments of struggle arise between you and the one you love. When a fight arises, it does not necessarily mean that the two of you are not right for each other. The survivalist mind will see an argument as dangerous and it will want to make excuses as to why it needs to convince you to run. This is why pausing before you speak to gather yourself and assess how you want to show up in an argument is vital. This will help you shift from a survivalist mindset into an intentional one that seeks to repair as opposed to control. When you start seeing that occasional arguments are actually a natural part of being close to another human being, you'll stop treating the challenging moment as a bad thing and instead you will see it as an opportunity to understand each other better. As long as both of you care about each other more than about being right, a resolution and end to the argument will eventually come to fruition. Being serious about personal growth and having the ability to see more than just your own perspective will also help you navigate disagreements. It is unreasonable to expect that a relationship will have no conflict since both of you have egos and because those egos have acquired a lifetime of conditioning, some of which is defensive, conditioning built during times of survival or struggle, there are bound to be moments when you have to sit down and seriously discuss the friction that is arising between you. Even so, when you both double down on living as the mature versions of yourself, you can be intentional about holding your arguments within a loving container. The following are some key practices that can help facilitate a smoother transition from argument to understanding. First is valid perspectives. You each have your own perspective on the matter, and each perspective deserves to be fully listened to without interruption. The only way the two of you can develop a full view of what happened between you is by bringing your two perspectives together. The key practice here is patiently taking turns to give each other the space to share before you have an open discussion about how to move forward. Second is practice selfless listening. Your ego will try to get in the way when your partner is sharing their side of things. And the only way to combat this is by intentionally refocusing your attention on their words instead of thinking about how you want to respond to what they are saying. This is a practice of compassion. Let yourself be immersed in their view of things. See it from their angle. This can only work if you both take turns being the selfless listener. Third is be honest without being dramatic. The drive to be correct can make you embellish things. Can you be honest and express yourself without going overboard or being mean? Leaning into an honest demonstration of your perspective will make the conversation move more smoothly and it will bring you closer together. The deepest form of love require a foundation of honesty and gentleness. Fourth is ask yourself if you can let it go. Attachment happens quickly when the ego feels threatened. Even if the line of reasoning you are getting attached to is illogical and functioning as a roadblock that stands in the way of your peace. Check in with yourself to see if you are hanging on to heated emotions unnecessarily. Remember the love you have for your partner and the love you have for yourself. Let these lighter emotions guide you to a middle path. Fifth is take responsibility for your part of it. When we take responsibility for our actions and mistakes, it creates a space where others feel more comfortable doing the same. No one person in a partnership should always have to be the bigger person. But when you accept your part in something, own up to it, and apologize for it, this changes the discussion from one of blame to one of connection. Sixth is remember your partner is not your enemy. Don't let your anger make you forget who is in front of you. The person in front of you is not perfect, but they are still the one you love. Make sure to protect yourself, hold them accountable if necessary, but do not be overly confrontational. Seventh is the goal is not to win, but to understand. When you realize that love has nothing to do with dominance and everything to do with freedom, it becomes easier to focus on understanding each other as a way to conclude the argument instead of winning. Understanding is a generative emotion, whereas if you strive to win, that means the other person has to lose, which will naturally lead to the accumulation of resentment. Seeking to understand means you both welcome vulnerability, which will help deepen your connection. Find a partner who is emotionally aware enough to have a calm and honest conversation when the two of you are experiencing conflict. Seeking to understand each other instead of winning the argument makes it easier to find a common ground that you both feel good about. Both of you accept the truth that love is not easy and that being imperfect is natural. Even during the storms, you don't forget your love for each other and how much you value your connection. Further on perspective, when you understand that your own perspective is limited and clouded by your past perceptions, you will cling to it less. The mind cannot immediately process multiple perspectives and therefore a greater amount of the truth unless you train it to do so. Perception is normally ego centered and focused on your singular point of view as well as being filtered through your past. But most situations, especially those dealing with other people, are created through a myriad of causes. This means that what you see, how you felt, what you think happened are not the entirety of the picture. There is so much more going on than the story your mind is forging together. A singular moment that people share can be understood in a variety of different ways. It takes a lot of mental strength and humility to recognize that your perspective does not equate to full truth. Being able to let go of the story in your mind opens up you to the possibility of co-creation where you build a new and more expensive narrative of series of events with the person or people it involves. This is especially important for couples. Co creating the story by listening to each other selflessly will paint a much clearer and more honest picture than if one person is attempting to dominate the narrative and fully avoid all blame. This does not mean that you have to exactly agree on how everything happened, but it does mean that you have to intentionally take turns stepping out of your perspective to see how your partner experienced the situation. The simple act of stepping out of your own perspective is a demonstration of your love for your partner. This act is a clear signal that you care about them and respect them as an equal, and they have a fair say over how everything transpired. Neither of you control the narrative because you are building it together. During a tough conversation, it is important to check in with yourself about the status of your emotions or if the emotion has triggered old hurts. If your emotions feel too hot, then surely they can impact your perception and make what happened even cloudier than before. When your emotions feel exceedingly cold, dense emotions contain the energy of clinging. They will stick to whatever is fueling them. This means that heavy emotions will look back on the series of events and they will incline themselves towards seeing the other person as the one who is in the wrong. This helps the emotions stay hot, but it doesn't provide a solution. In these moments, it may be best to tell your partner that your emotions feel so rough that they are making it hard for you to think in a balanced manner and ask to come back to the discussion after you have had some time to cool off. Not everything needs to be addressed immediately, and sometimes it can be really healthy to calm down before discussing an argument. When I look back at the arguments Sarah and I had over the many years we've been together, most of them ended with both of us apologizing. When we settled down into intentional calmness and started speaking honestly about the series of events, it would become clear that we both did things that actually made the argument more tense. Neither of us was a saint. We both said things we regretted, and in time we would apologize and own up to the mistakes we made. Even when one of us clearly started an argument and had more to apologize for, the other usually accepted the invitation into anger and ended up saying or doing things that just made the situation worse. Realizing how easy it is to add to the problem and that you and your partner are not perfect people will help you have the humility to apologize when it is necessary. Letting go of small things. Human beings are constantly moving through a wide spectrum of emotions, and whenever you're going through a heavier mood, it becomes much easier to say or do things that you later regret or that your partner finds hurtful. A lot of arguments and moments of tension between couples are triggered by small things. One person doesn't feel great that day, so they are more sensitive than usual, or someone takes a joke too far, etc. In these in these cases, you each have a choice to apologize and forgive or to allow the tension to snowball and let it become something way bigger than it needs to be. A mundane and some simple mistake can quite easily get connected to a larger overarching problem that has been a difficult and recurring point of contention in your relationship. Usually, this is because the emotion of anger or resentment will look for more to feed itself, and the easiest thing to do is just to rehash the big problems in your relationship that you too often come back to. When you make the intentional building of your self awareness a natural aspect of your daily life, you will begin to notice when you are enlarging a small point of tension and the way your mind will start connecting disparate things to make itself more tense. When you recognize this process beginning in your mind, you should practice letting go. If you honestly access yourself, you will see that there were many arguments in your life that did not need to happen, moments of tension that came unnecessarily big. Something like not getting enough sleep one night or being hungry can become the catalyst for big arguments with your partner. We often miss these small connections between our mood and our negative reactions because we so quickly get caught up in the object of our frustration. Small things can become bigger quite quickly, but do they need to? One of the most beautiful ways to express your love for another human being is to do your best to see them clearly and not react out of a bad mood or past patterns. This is possible when you understand that past conditioning and present circumstances will often color your view of what another person is saying and doing. The hurt you carry, the trauma
Hear
you may
you.
have experienced, as well as the inevitable down moments in life will adjust your perception, usually in a defensive direction. Often, when you look at another, you will initially see your own emotions instead of seeing the person as they are. When it comes to love, the past can sometimes be our biggest obstacle in developing a healthy and vibrant connection. Uh, Someone else can start reading. Yeah.
Yeah, I can read. Mansi, I'm on my screen. I'm seeing that Mansi has started screen sharing. I can't see the screen actually.
Is it? Okay, I was not able to hear Shruti for a while. Was she audible to others?
Yes, yes,
Or
she
is
was
Yes.
this?
audible to me,
Oh,
but
maybe
I
then it's
can't
just
see
my.
your screen.
Yeah, now I'll share. Just see. Now you can.
Um, Not yet.
I
Maybe
can see the screen.
yeah,
Probably Jyoti.
You
Yeah,
top
can
and
maybe
able to
it's
see the
maybe the network issue is from my end. So Pravina,
Yeah.
can you start reading? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
can
yeah.
you
I'll
do?
go. I'll go.
just a minute. I'll just share the screen again. I'll also go on mute before I share. So
Yeah, maybe my network is not good today.
So
but
yeah.
at least Jyoti, you've joined, you've taken that effort to join.
No, actually, I had to yesterday also. I couldn't. There's a lot going on in my area, no, because of you guys must have heard about Himachal, how it is in the how it was in this season. So every like electricity pole, wires,
Where are you
everything is
staying?
damaged.
You're
I'm
from
in
where in
Himachal.
Himachal?
No,
Where,
I'm from Jaipur, but my husband is from Himachal. So we are here.
where,
He's posted
where
here.
in Himachal? Where in Himachal?
Near Dharamshala.
Oh, nice.
Yes, yes. So the repair work is going on. So they like the electricity power cut and all this is happening since last 3 4 days. It was told to us that it will happen till Thursday, but today also it happened. So that's why it was a problem for me.
I hope you're fine now, Jyotirji.
I am fine, but electricity is not here, Pravina. Fine, but
That
not fine.
I wish all these gets cleared up soon. And I think even the forecast, how about forecast? Is it worse or is it going to be okay for the future?
No, from last 1 week, we could see the sun, but yesterday it rained again.
Oh,
So,
mhm.
uh, it happened like they were thinking that till yesterday they'll be making things better, but since yesterday it rained again, the repair work couldn't happen yesterday, so they maybe postpone it for today. Today in the morning also it rained for 1 or 2 hours, but now it is little bit sunny, so we are hoping ki like in the evening we'll get electricity.
That's really bad. I mean,
Yeah.
Bangalore is also not that good, but I cannot even compare with what is happening with us. I can understand the
Yeah, thank
severity there.
you. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Sure. Shall I continue?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay. If you want to love another person well, you have no choice but to journey inward and make sure that the love within you is open, inviting, and that is ready to receive and give nourishment. The best way to do is by putting effort into three things. One, spending time examining your emotional history. This will help you to understand yourself more completely. It will show your thoughts, it will show you your strengths and the parts of you that need healing. What is within you will manifest itself in your relationship one way or the other. So, it will serve you to be aware of your deepest patterns. Second, making sure you do not run away from the tough emotions in the present moment. If you can be with yourself during the turbulent moments, this will greatly enhance your patience and your capacity to understand the storms are not everlasting. Letting these heavy moments pass through you without taking control of you will help you eventually feel lighter and give you great ability to be there for another person when they are struggling. 3. Intentionally creating a loving relationship between you and yourself. How you treat yourself can easily become how you treat your partner. How you treat yourself can easily become how you treat your partner. Loving another person is greatly shaped by how strong your self love is. The way you accept yourself, such as talking to yourself gently in your mind, not forcing yourself to be perfect, and all the other ways you activate your self love, will end up framing the shape of your relationship. Making your perception clearer also requires intentional mental training. Teach yourself to be observe things. Teach yourself to observe things without immediate jumping into conclusion. To suspend evaluation and just take in what's happening. It also requires bringing yourself back to the present moment repeatedly so that your mind doesn't immediately swim to the past or the future. The deepest act of love is not a memory or wanting in the future or wanting something in the future. It is selfless action in the present moment. These skills you develop will come in handy in daily life as you and your partner take turns listening, take turns listening so you can try to see the world through the other's unique perspective. The ability to genuinely listen is compassion in action. When you both intentionally try to listen to each other selflessly and enter into a conversations with curiosity, your connection will naturally get stronger and more fulfilling. The pure attention you give each other will bring you closer together. Assumptions and expectations. Remind yourself often that your partner cannot read your mind. Remind yourself often that your partner cannot read your mind. Even after years of being together, they can know your story. They can know your story well. They can understand your triggers and support your goals, but they cannot know the intricate and complex moment of your thoughts. Creating a culture between the two of you where communication comes first can set the foundation of a loving relationship. It also can remove any confusion that may arise from keeping important information to yourself that could help the relationship. The mind does not know unknowns, so it will rapidly try to fill in the blanks. Even when it comes to your relationship, it will be quick to make the assumptions. This pattern is so deep, ingrained in the mind that it will jump to making assumptions, even when these assumptions are based on the scarce and in unverifiable pieces of information. Especially if fear is an emotion that your mind runs too often. It will create negative assumption that has no basis in reality. The mind can make you see threats and challenges where there are none. It can make you question your partner's intention or even the love they have for you. Assumptions are treacherous territory. They can create a rift between you and your partner and make you both feel like you can't trust the other. The only way to close this gap between you is with truthful communication and by slowing down when you are the one jumping to conclusion. Instead of assuming, ask. If you are building unreliable narratives on partial information, ask your partner for the information you need to truly understand them. The act of continually making assumption, especially when they are fear-based, can wear you down your partner and make them feel like your relationship doesn't have adequate trust. This can especially be the case if previous partner has hurt or betrayed you. The mind will jump to the conclusion that new partner may be up to the same antics. But that is not always the case. Don't let assumptions be the reason trust cannot flourish in the home you are building together. Silent expectations can also create a rift between you and the one you love. Expectations are always unvoiced needs or wants, ways you ways that you would like your partner to support your happiness, but that they may unaware of, but that they may be unaware of. I'll read it all again. Silent expectations can create a rift between you and the one you love. Expectations are often unvoiced needs or wants, ways that you would like your partner to support your happiness, but that they may be unaware of. The problem is that they are not properly communicated. Unspoken expectations are like little traps that you unconsciously set up for yourself and your partner. You get upset when your silent expectations are not met, even though your partner never had the information that they needed to see if meeting your need was within their capacity. Remember, silent expectations are a recipe for disappointment and future arguments. Silent expectations are the recipe for disappointments and future arguments. Both assumptions and unspoken expectations are a failure of communication. Their immediate remedy is to have the courage to be more honest with each other and to not let your minds run away and create untrue narratives. Your partner deserves the chance to be best partner possible, but that requires you giving them the high level of insight into your mind so that they are well informed about how to best support you. The good way to show your love is to clearly tell each other what the other is doing well or and what they could do better. Making them guess what you need will simply create disappointment for both of you. Calm communication. I'm fortunate not only to have great parents, but also to have a great in laws. I'm grateful to have a wonderful relationship with my in laws. They have They have been welcoming, kind, and incredibly supportive. Sarah's parents, Jan and Steve, have taught me a tremendous amount, mostly from the example of how they live their lives and from how they treat each other and those around them. Over the years, I've always noticed the way the two of them will have important discussions with each other in a calm manner. Even through ups and downs, they maintain a clear level of compassion for each other as they solve problems together. Jan and Steve have been married for 48 years and have 6 kids together. One of the biggest gifts they have given to their family is their inner stability and the strong love they have for each other. The atmosphere that they have cultivated in their home partially stems from an important moment they have shared right after they were married. They were in the midst of discussion, but they were disagreeing with each other very strongly, as many people do. As many people do, Steve began to raise his voice as he was expressing himself. Jan looked at him and said, "Stop, wait a second. I want to have a lot of arguments with you. I look forward to many years of disagreeing, but just don't raise your voice to me. Please don't yell. If you raise your voice at me, I can't hear you." This moment completely changed how they talked to each other. From Steve's perspective, he felt accused of yelling when he was actually just trying his voice, but he recognized that to Jan it did qualify as a yelling, so he stopped. He knew that even though their perceptions of that moment were different, to continue the same way was not conducive to good communication that could help them overcome the disagreement. Jan clearly expressing her feelings during this moment early in their relationship created an opportunity to pivot. Over time, Steve saw that without raising his voice, he was able to get his point across. I'm particularly I'm particularly struck by the powerful line, "I want to have a lot of arguments with you," because it fundamentally captures the truth of long lasting relationships. You're not going to agree all of the time. You are two individuals with your own viewpoints, and the turbulence of life will create the moments when those viewpoints will come to the surface, and sometimes they will not mesh well. Even so, there should be a standard, a culture developed between you and your partner that encourage placing these disagreements within a conducive container, where the conflict is not an opportunity for ego to grow and to dominate, but instead for compassion to come to the surface so you can understand each other at a deeper level. Arguing is normal, disagreeing is common, but the love is the way the two of you can lift your heads above the water so that you can find a good path together forward. Jan went on to say that to be able to argue for years, they both needed to be able to listen. Okay, that's okay, Jyoti. You don't have to feel bad. Yeah. Jan went on to say that to be able to argue for years, they both needed to be able to listen, feel heard, and not feel attacked in the middle of disagreement. Even though this moment happened decades ago, it has rippled through the time and set the standards for productive communication between the two of them. The calm communication they practice is even apparent in the way they speak to their children and grandchildren. Moments of authenticity and having the courage to make their needs clear can end up positively impact many people down the line. Find a partner who can clearly remember that they love you even when you two have an argument. You know the love is real because even when they are upset, they're still curious to understand things from your perspective. As you each keep sharing, you start letting go of the tension and find a middle ground that feels good to both of you. On blame. The ego is incredibly fond of blame. It is the tendency to reject accountability and responsibility. The ego will feel negative emotions and always seek to assign external reasons as to why they are happening, even when it has have to bend to the logic to do so. I'll repeat. The ego will feel negative emotions and always seek to assign external reasons as to why they are happening, even when it has bent logic to do so. The ego is a temporary, fear based mechanism that helps us navigate the material world, but its primary object is survival, and it continuously hungry for pleasantness. Part of the difficulty of taking ownership over how you feel is that reclaiming your powers comes with discomfort. It is much easier to point the fingers at others than to see how much of your misery is self created. We use the language, my ego took the hit, because this is exactly what it can feel like to accept the responsibility of your mistakes. Shame and embarrassment may at first accompany accepting accountability, but this is the more mature and even powerful thing to do so. And those initial emotions often fade quickly. Developing a balanced view on blame requires not going to extremes and realizing that every issue that arises is situational and dependent on the conditions that caused it. The cause will not always be the same. The key thing to understand is the key thing to understand is that the reality you are experiencing is being filtered and composed by your mind. Your perception is a dominant aspect of your mind. It will take in the information it is countering and related to the past memories. Your perception does not just perceive, it also evaluates. Even without bothering to make sure that what you are perceiving is correct, the mind will give it a positive or negative evaluation. This is an incredible fast process that can sometimes land us in trouble in our daily lives because we end up too quickly assessing what we encountered. Instead of simply observing, we jump straight into judging. The reactive quality of mind makes sense when you're struggling for survival, but it can complicate interpersonal situations. We are not only creating we are not only creating quick judgments, but we are reacting to how those judgments make us feel. This lightning fast process is happening entirely in our mind. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because, at an ultimate level, our own suffering is happening inside our minds and it is affected by how we perceive reality. This can feel simultaneously daunting and inspiring because you are the maker of your life. You are directly responsible for creating the reality you are experiencing by the way you are evaluating it. This is powerful. This does not discount the very real fact that others can also cause us harm. It is just highlighting that our mental reaction to external experience can greatly increase or decrease the sufferings we experience. The past is heavily influenced how we perceive the present, so much so that it is completely intrusive on the ability to create observations, new objective observation, because it is trying hard to categorize whatever you are encountering through what it has happened, experienced before. Being intentional about freeing yourself from the past by bringing awareness into the process and taking the time to slow down and suspend judgment can help you see things in a fresh and genuine way. The past can be heavily coded in our minds that we could hear a strings of words from someone who has pure intention and who means no harm, and our minds will remember that those exact words were said years ago by someone who hurt us greatly. Immediately, our mind will associate the person in front of us with the person who hurt us in the past. And instinctively, we may close ourselves off to whatever else the new person is saying. The combination of relating everything you are presently experiencing with your past and the ego's rejection of taking responsibility creates ample potential of blame, arguments, and moments of tension between partners, especially when humans naturally like to share their tension with whoever is closest to them. We are beings of proximity, which means that those nearest to us will get the best and the worst of us. The primary way to stop this lightning fast process of judgment and rejection of responsibility is by slowing down and challenging yourself to remain as honest as possible. It takes intentional energy to develop a balanced perspective. Slowing down and teaching yourself to refrain from jumping to conclusions or from uh, quickly developing a narrow viewpoint based on the past emotion is necessary if you want to take in the present in as objective a manner as possible. Um, can I read it again? Yeah. It takes an intentional energy to develop a balanced perspective. Slowing down and teaching yourself to refrain. Slowing down and teaching yourself to refrain from the jumping to conclusions or from quickly developing a narrow viewpoint based on the past emotion is necessary if you want to take in the present in as objective a manner as possible. Being objective is difficult for human beings because truth is secondary to survival. But we can train our minds to understand that there is a great benefit of being more balanced in a way we assess situations, especially when it comes to relationship. We need to have a sense of objectivity so we can own up to our mistakes and apologize when it is necessary to do so. Objectivity itself is a serious challenge and hard to measure, especially when it comes to a relational situation. You know you have gotten closer to objectivity when both you and your partner feel heard, understood, when resolving the tension between you. If both of you feel that you can see each other more clearly, the heated tension in your minds is lessened. And you are each accepting responsibility of your part of the issue. Then you are getting closer to finding a middle path. Even when someone clearly starts an argument or does something they need to apologize for, the other person usually adds tension to the situation. Granted, there are definitely times when the argument is one person's fault. But we have to ask ourselves honestly, how many times have I made an argument that didn't start worse by acting out my agitation and ended up saying something that I later regretted? Again, saints are rare. To achieve balance, it is essential to understand that your own perception and reactions are feeding the tension in your mind, which means that you won't always be able to maintain inner harmony when someone is trying their best to upset you. But you can keep trying. Reclaim your power from the people around you who are trying to invite you to join them in their rough emotions. At the same time, also realize that this does not excuse mean behavior toward you. Sometimes people will do or say things that are undoubtedly wrong, and we should stand up for ourselves and others who are being wronged. Reclaiming our power in this sense is not about suppressing our emotion. It is about managing our blind reactions so that they don't become overblown and further cloud our perception and action. Be mindful of how much blame you are placing on each other. Be mindful of how much the tension in your mind can twist your logic and convince you to argue with someone when it is actually unnecessary. Check in with yourself by asking, was this tension in my mind before even I was this tension in my mind before I even started thinking about them? Wow, that was a wonderful read. Reflection questions. Could you listen better to your partner? Can you change yourself to listen more selflessly the next time you argue? Are you aware when your ego is trying to defend and protect itself in an argument? Are you and your partner able to get to the root of the issue and hold each other compassionately? Can you think clearly after someone says something triggering? What do you need to rebalance yourself? What are some ways you keep your ego in check during an argument? Should we have to continue chapter 6?
No, it's 3:27, so we better stop. Oh, Jyoti's left or what?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
she
not
left.
know that. Oh,
That's
oh,
okay.
okay. We could have stopped a little earlier, but it's okay. We completed that chapter today.
Yeah,
So yeah, please feel free to share.
yeah. I mean, for me, genuinely, it was a wonderful read. I think I could able to relate to each and every word the author has told. But I would like to give. I mean, if anyone wants to go ahead, I'm completely fine about that.
No, no, no. You do share, Pravina. Like no problem. Go on.
Okay. So I think my points are quite clear. I mean, just the way, because every argument that we have with our partner, as they say, we are all not saints. So everyone will have to work on the argument part. The thing that I could able to relate more is valid perspectives. So when you say your perspective is quite limited to your ego and with your life experience, and every life experience have different versions of it. So when you say your perspective, it is very, you have to tell yourself that it is very limited and it is only limited to me. So if you have that awareness before arguing with anybody, whether it's partner or anyone in the sex spectrum, you'll come to a conclusion that you know little less. I mean, at least to a point that you're open to understand others' perspective. So that is one thing which made me feel very good about it. And second is letting go of the small things, as he told, because every time when we are so much engrossed in relationships, we always tend to take every small things into you know um, a bigger problem, or I would say it'll sometimes lead it to a bigger thing. And third is that unresolved or silence in the relationship. So if you are thinking about something and you're being silent about it, or whether it's a small or a huge thing, it'll always lead to the other consequences where it'll just blow up into something bigger. I think that is again a usual thing that happens in a relationship. So yeah, I think as you keep the conversation, I mean, when I say communication, when you can be more clearer with your partner or anyone about how you feel, because they don't know your mind, they don't know what your thoughts are. So that will be a great thing for them to understand you, and in a way that you can keep growing to find a middle path in the relationship. I think those three are my biggest takeaways, and apart from that, I could able to relate to every single words they have told. Yeah, that's my take. Does anyone want to share anything about it?
Thank you. Beautifully shared, Pravina. Yeah, yes. Anyone who would want to add some other points or anything that just highlighted for you in today's reading? Anything? Okay, so personally for me, even I loved the same pointers as you mentioned, Pavina. Like the I loved the art of arguing and the way he has covered. I loved how his wife stopped him. That example of his in-laws that he gave, like where his wife stopped him at the right point. So I feel
Yeah,
that these small things make a lot of difference. Like she very healthily established her boundaries, and also mentioned in the same sentence, she also mentioned like I would want to have more such disagreements with you, because it's a long term goal, right? A relationship is not something short lived, it's a long term goal always. So yeah, I love that part. And yes, all the points that were mentioned, and even the reflective questions, they are beautiful. Like and it,
yeah,
it it helps us become more mindful, because arguments does not come with a notice, right? They just happen when they happen. So I feel if we have done any pre work like this earlier, I think that helps us when we are actually caught up in a situation like that. So that really
yeah.
helps us, is what I believe. Yeah, love the
Great.
pointers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I was urged to take notes in between because it was so powerful and it was so relatable when it comes to relationships. Yeah, in that way, it was wonderful read.
Would you like to like share your notes in the group, or maybe just read out a points or two for us? Like that will help us also, like just to highlight.
Yeah, that is what, Mansi. Like I was reading, right? So I couldn't able to take the notes meanwhile. But yeah, I would like to go back and take it and share it in forward.
Also, Mansi, I would like to share the same thing. The questionnaire which is there at the end of each chapter, it gives you a lot of thinking, and when you write along those points, you get a
Yeah.
better clarity, in terms of what we have read. So I was thinking maybe from tomorrow, because being a weekend, I am going to make my notes, matlab chapter wise, and it will give us a more idea about what we have studied in each chapter, and it will give us more clarity about handling things in a better way what we have just read over these 7 chapters.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. In fact, Jyoti has been consistently insisting since the beginning that we should work on the reflective questions. We should journal them, think about them, reflect upon them. It's very, very important because otherwise the reading evaporates, right?
Yeah.
We just take few pointers and everything evaporates. But if we seriously are wanting to work on a relationship, and if this is something, see, personally for myself, there is this two-way I read. Sometimes some books I just read out of curiosity because the topic is of my interest and I would like to know what's inside of it. So at that times when we just read, it's okay. But sometimes some books just catches you, right? Like it just you get hooked to the insights from the book, or you really like it and you want it to go deeper inside of you. That time I also make it a point that I reread it, I underline things, I take notes. Note taking is not so much that I follow through for everything because it takes some time. And but on a serious note, whenever we want to work on something, taking out our notes, in fact, along with the notes, even reflecting and noting down our insights, our takeaways during that reading, I think that really makes the whole knowledge sink in deeper, and that like acts as an inner work, right? Like we do, it acts like a deep work that we work on it, and it helps us understand ourselves also better and evolve to quite an extent. So yeah, very true. And I would highly insist, please do. Whoever is very keen on working on their relationships, I think it's a must do. And this author, by giving the reflective questions, has made it super easy for us. So it not only revises the learning from the chapter, but it also helps us take it forward from the learning, right, to ourselves. It helps us take that inside out approach. So that's beautiful. Yeah, I think few more chapters to go. It's like we are on 8 now, na? The 8th chapter is about to begin or something. Now we'll maybe hopefully by next week we'll finish this book if we continue with this consistency. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice read, but even I was not aware of this book. We just dropped it in a poll. A friend just shared it with us, and luckily it turned out to be a very beautiful read,
True.
especially
And
for
I
relationships.
yeah, and also it just deepens your understanding of yourself as well. I think the starting 2 chapters was for me is more like the same topics repeating again and again, because in the mainstream or in social media or in so many other platforms we hear it's almost the same kind of thing. But as the chapters went deeper, I could able to have the wider perspective of each topic, and that is something that was quite uh, amazing about this book. I just wanted to share this. Thank you, Mansi. Thank you, Jyoti, for
Yeah.
taking it forward.
Yes, yes. Thank you for being there. We were just discussing this in the beginning of this session. Like, shall we continue or we should drop the book? Because although the book is very good, we are not like getting enough participation, right? So we
Oh,
can just keep going if you all are there. Like, you are showing interest, you are joining in. So that means a lot. So yeah,
yeah.
thank you for
I'm so
showing
sorry
up.
for not. Yeah, I would like to insist one thing. Like, I'm sorry about losing the yesterday's session. We were actually out, and there was no
No, 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 that's
internet for
okay,
me.
yaar. It's
Yeah,
completely okay. Everyone misses it once in a while, except the leader has do not have that option, but others, it's still okay. But the main point is we can keep going only if we have the equal response, right? Otherwise,
true.
there's no point then continuing with things. So yeah. No problem. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a wonderful read, and I think a good stop also for us to reflect over the weekend. So now we'll be meeting on Monday. So see you all with the new chapter on Monday. Thank you. Thank you for being there, and thank you for all your shares and insight. It is very valuable. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
weekend. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye. See you all.